रोजीनत सारा आफ्ताब रोशनी को बैठ हुई है। ये रोजीनत और इनके शौहर कौसर, इनकी किडनी फेल हुई हुई दोनों, तो डायलिसिस में हफ्ते में 3 दिन।
रोजीना कौसर एक ही नाम है?
नहीं, मतलब ये वाइफ है, ये उनके हस्बैंड है कौसर।
अच्छा
कौसर की दोनों किडनी फेल है।
अच्छा।
ये जीनत सारा क्वींस के अंदर एक होती थी खाना करके,
अच्छा
जो बच्चों को बहुत बड़ा है 184 पे।
अच्छा।
तो ये वो है।
ठीक है, ज़हन में रखते हैं। तफसीर के बाद बात कर लें। नहमदुहु व नसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम। My respected elders and brothers, we recited one para today, the last 3 quarters of the 24th juz and the first quarter of the 25th juz. I'll take a few ayats from what was recited yesterday, Surah Safat and Surah Sad in the 23rd juz. The theme of both those incidents is the same. We all know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the son to Ibrahim alayhi salam by the name of Ismail alayhi salam at a very old age, and Allah gave him this son after a lot of asking, dua and crying. And we also know this, that Ibrahim alayhi salam was the prophet who was amongst those prophets who was tested the most by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why he got the title of Khalilullah, the friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the biggest tests came at the last part of his life, when Ismail alayhi salam became his shoulder, meaning he was tall enough, grown enough to walk along with him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him see a dream, made the father see a dream. And the dream was that he is slaughtering his son Ismail alayhi salam. These ayahs came yesterday. And when he narrated this incident to his son Ismail alayhi salam, and he asked him, Fanzur madha tara, as we say in English, what is your opinion? What do you think about this? So the reply of Ismail alayhi salam was, Ya abatif'al ma tu'mar. O father, do whatever Allah has commanded you to do. Satajiduni insha'Allahu minas sabirin. Surely you will find me, if Allah wills, from amongst those who are patient. So such was the upbringing of Ismail alayhi salam. Eventually he took him in the field of Mina, and we all know the incident, sharpened the knife also, and tried to slaughter him. But at the end, right at that moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down a ram or a sheep from Jannah. Okay? What Allah mentions in the Quran, قَدْ صَدَّقْتَ الرُّؤْيَا. O Ibrahim alayhi salam, you had fulfilled the dream. You have made the dream true, meaning you fulfilled the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What lesson does it give us? The moral or the essence of the incident is that Allah will test us all. The hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, the one who are tested the most by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the prophets and the messengers alayhimus salatu wassalam. Then the people who are after them, and then the people who are after them. Meaning the much higher our level is in deen, the much bigger the sacrifice will be, the much bigger the test will be. So Allah wants to check us if we are we really sincere, or are we just hollow from inside. So this tells us that Allah will test us, Allah will ask us for sacrifice, but Allah will not take the sacrifice from us. Allah wants to see our reaction. Allah wants to see what is our reply, what are we thinking. What was the reply of Ibrahim and Ismail alayhi salam? Go ahead and do it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just accepted at this point, and the ram came from Jannah. And based on that sacrifice, Allah made it a sunnah of Ibrahim alayhi salam for the believers until the day of judgment, that in Eid al-Adha, whoever can afford the qurbani, the sacrifice, now this is upon you, incumbent upon you, the sunnah of my friend Ibrahim alayhi salam, that you should also slaughter a goat or a cow for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is one thing. Second thing, Allah mentions in Surah Sad. Surah As-Sad is right after Surah As-Safat. Surah Yasin, Surah Safat, and then Surah As-Sad in the 23rd juz. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to the conversation that took place between Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the kuffar of Makkah. We all know this famous incident back home. Those of us who are back home from our countries learned this in school also. It's a very famous incident. In the last days of Abu Talib, when he was about to die, the Quraysh, the leaders of Quraysh made a mashwara amongst themselves. They said, we are not able to take any extreme action against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because of the moral support of Abu Talib. Abu Talib did not accept Islam, but his full moral support was there with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is about to die. If you take an extreme action after his death, people will say, look how coward these kuffar of Makkah are. They were not able to harm Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the life of Abu Talib. Now since he is gone, they are harming him. So why not do something in his life? They made a group, went to see Abu Talib, and they complained about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam कि ये हमारे बुतों को बुरा भला कहता है. I mean, why does he say that idol worship is wrong? These are not gods. Tell him not to do this. Okay? We can agree on everything, but tell him not to do this. This has created a problem in every house of Makkah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was called upon by Abu Talib, and he said, look, these people are complaining about you. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that I only ask for one thing. If they agree on one thing, I won't say anything else. So then Abu Talib looked at the face of the leaders of Quraysh. They said, one thing, go ahead and say it. He said, say la ilaha illallah. Believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. If you do this, the entire Arabian Peninsula will come in your feet. Meaning you will become the kings, and the entire Arabian kingdom will be yours. That happened at the end of the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then eventually it followed in the time of Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu. So if you believe in Allah, Allah will give you the kingdom. So they said, this just because of one thing this will happen? This will happen just because of one thing. Now this is the main thing, the reason why ulama bring this up, and I'm sharing with you. Then what was the reply of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? That they want me to leave this effort of wahdaniyat, calling people towards one Allah. I will not leave it even if they bring down the sun and put it in my right hand and the moon in my left hand. Still I will not leave the effort of deen. What does it mean? जो मशहूर वाक़या है कि सूरज एक हाथ में और चांद दूसरे हाथ में रख दें, तब भी मैं अल्लाह की तरफ दावत देने से नहीं रोकूंगा. इसका मफ़हूम क्या है? What is the meaning of this? This we need to understand. Ulama say the meaning is, first of all, it's impossible for anyone to bring down the sun or the moon and to place it in his hands. And even if somebody brings it down, we can't even look at the sun for a split second. We cannot even stare at the sun because of its heat and the intensity of its heat. If the sun comes in the hand, how can somebody bear this? So in other words, this is impossible. But even in impossible circumstances, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, I will not leave my mission. Okay? So this should be the jazba. This should be the emotion of a person who knows that my mehnat, my effort, my target is according to deen. This is what Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying. He should not get affected by the temporary tides and the calamities and the frowning upon of the people come. He should be steadfast. जब आदमी को पता है कि मैं सही रास्ते पे हूँ, मेरा मंशूर ठीक है, मैं अल्लाह और उसके रसूल की मेहनत कर रहा हूँ, तो फिर आर्जी हालात से हमें डरना नहीं चाहिए, जम के काम करना चाहिए. So the theme is followed in the incident of Ibrahim alayhi salam also, and in Surah As-Sad also. Last thing for today. Come once again in Surah As-Sad. These are ayahs number 46 and 47. Allah mentions Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ishaq alayhi salam, Yaqub alayhi salam, Ayyub alayhi salam. You might have heard these names yesterday in Taraweeh. Allah mentions Sulaiman alayhi salam, Dawood alayhi salam, Nuh alayhi salam, Hud alayhi salam, many prophets. Then Allah mentions a collective quality that Allah likes from them. What is that collective quality? Allah says, Inna akhlasnahum bi khalisatin dhikrad dar. What is the meaning of this? This is ayah 46. Allah says, we chose them for a trait of remembering the eternal home in the hereafter. What does it mean in easy words? Allah says their maqsad and objective was making people remember the hereafter. Because there are three basic themes in the Quran. There are a total of 3 themes in the Quran. Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Risala, the prophethood of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Akhirah, regarding the hereafter. These are the themes in the whole Quran, and this is the essence. So Allah says, we gave them the responsibility of talking about the hereafter, reminding people about the hereafter. وَإِنَّهُمْ عِنْدَنَا لَمِنَ الْمُصْطَفَيْنَ الْأَخْيَارِ. And surely they are in our sight, meaning the sight of Allah, amongst the chosen, the best of the righteous. They are not just righteous in the sight of Allah, they are the best amongst the righteous. So what does it tell us? Allah Pak फरमाने कि मैंने सारे नबियों को खालिस किया था इस मकसद के लिए कि वो आखिरत की बात करें. और ये सारे के सारे जो है जितने नेकोकार हैं उनमें से मेरे मुख्तार शुदा बंदे हैं, मेरे जो है अच्छों में से भी सबसे पसंदीदा बंदे हैं. What does it tell us? This tells us that every once in a while we need to talk about the hereafter. Okay? In our majlis, in our gatherings, the situation today is, this does not mean that wherever you are sitting, this does not mean that all of a sudden the occasion is not appropriate or the time is not appropriate and we just bring up this thing. No. Whenever it's an appropriate time, the majlis is appropriate, we should talk about the hereafter. Because if we keep on reminding ourselves of the hereafter, then it will be easy for us. Otherwise, it's very difficult. What happens normally with me and all of us is, once we get up from the masjid, once we get up from the bayan, Ramadan or non-Ramadan, never in our majlis we talk about the hereafter. And sometimes if somebody brings up this thing, people say, क्या ये कब्रिस्तान की बात शुरू कर दी, depression हो जाता है. I personally heard, with due respect, I respect that person, but just to share that where do me and you stand today. I personally heard this from a person that when I pass by the qabristan, it feels bad, I come into depression. Okay. So now this is a sign, where does I stand? Where does you stand? Where do you stand? If this passing by the graveyard is depressing us, this means I'm not ready to go in the grave. Okay? So this is a reminder that I should prepare for the hereafter. Am I ready to lie in my grave? Am I ready to have all those, we go to Washington Memorial, the entire mud is thrown upon us instantly within a matter of minutes. We can't even move it. So every once in a while, this is the meaning, this was the purpose of the prophets, and Allah likes those people who talk about the hereafter. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give tawfiq to all of us. Ameen. Subhanallah wa bihamdih, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Some brothers have requested for dua, so we'll quickly make a dua inshallah. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal